Hey everyone, how's it going? Happy Thursday. It's been a long time since the last video, but we're just gonna go ahead and record a quick one. I always get into this habit of being like, oh, it's kind of been a while since I've recorded a video. So what's one more day? Or like, oh, but I don't really have anything to talk about, so what's the point? But there's always stuff to talk about in the market, so we might as well record, right? As we could see now, Bitcoin is kind of perking up a little bit. I think we have a bit of a short squeeze going on right now. I don't know how long this is going to go for, but it looks like the momentum is slowing. I don't know where the pullback is going to come back to, if it's 70K, 65, if it'll retest kind of where we were rejecting back in this consolidation range. But it's interesting and good to see that we were right about kind of the accumulation happening from 60 to 65K. So pretty big uptrend, pretty good momentum here. But obviously, I don't think this will last long. My average cost right now is around 78K. I wish I continued my accumulation. I actually paused it because I figured the money was better spent on real-time data for my algorithmic strategies and also getting that Claude subscription bump so I could have more extended workflows and continue tweaking. And I think that's the right move. A lot of the times when you're dip buying into beaten down stocks, it could take a really long time for that capital to start working for you. Similarly to Oracle, because that's another one that I've been talking about quite a bit. We broke this kind of consistent downtrend and averaging into this, my average cost is around 168 and now we're perking up, but we broke below. It could take a while for Oracle to turn around. I do think it'll definitely get to the 200s eventually. So I know for a fact that I could comfortably hold it long term, but it's just going to take a while and I'll be in a drawdown in a while. And that's what happens when you kind of dip by blue chips. Other interesting news, we saw some interesting price action with Moderna. I think they had like positive news on a cancer related treatment. And on this day specifically, they went up 100 and something percent. But we saw today that it quickly snapped back for a mean reversion. At my company that I work at, there's a lot of people that were talking about this. There's several like kind of stock-based discussions that kind of happen. So people were talking about this and people were saying, oh, I don't know if I should buy and stuff. And I just feel like anytime you buy into a play like this, you could end up bag holding for a while. So that's why I always play the downside and try and think about, okay, where are zones that people likely are trapped? And I think that the 160 level is a really interesting one. Basically anything from 155 to kind of 175, I think is a overhead resistance because of the price action we saw there. So pretty clear rejection and indecision. The trend didn't continue higher and we did have a good amount of volume in there. So this indecision candle, this wick here, this close here is pretty strong close. So a lot of people bought here. And I don't know if they all sold here. There could be a good amount of people that are holding. So something to keep in mind if the stock price ever reaches back up. We can see off of SpaceX's IPO, we drew our levels pretty nicely here. I actually bought a put once we tapped the 149. I only sold it for a 20% gain. It would have been, I think, at around 300% if I held. But I got 20% on a day and I was like, you know what? Why not just close and instead of having this work against me? So, I still make mistakes even though I need to kind of trust my conviction. Like I've been trusting with Bitcoin, I think so far. I think it's a really good play. But I didn't have that patience with SpaceX. Still learning and there's still plenty to learn too. So anyways, that's kind of all I wanted to talk about. I think that we're in really interesting times. Just going back to SpaceX really quick though. Pretty crazy buying pressure here. So now this 107 to 120 range could be seen as a place to get calls, honestly, for a slight bounce up. So I'm going to be eyeing that level. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. Then I would project that there's going to be a pretty steady sell-off because space isn't profitable. But I'd say there's like a 40%, maybe 50% chance of that actually happening. Like, it's really hard to predict what could happen with these plays. I might as well share a little bit about trading strategies. So up until this point, and I'll flick into, actually we could probably flick it to 50 now. Up until this point, we're operating off real data, and I have Telegram alerts now too that are basically letting me know about trades. So super cool. You can see here we have some pretty good call outs. I will say you will see mostly red because most of the alerts are the long strategy, and I'm still tweaking it to figure out how to filter out bad trades. I'm doing a mix of different strategies for doing that, whether it's breeding new strategies, asking Claude to kind of find common themes in the losers and common themes in the winners to isolate stuff. And then also thinking about back to when I was trading, what I ran into from the short perspective that ended up causing me big losses. So continuing to tweak and trying to isolate those big losses to long strategies when I was short. And for the short strategies, just basically working through and trying to systematize, I think is the actual word. Trying to systematize the approach from a short perspective of what I look for and all that. A lot kind of still being worked on. Every time I tweak something, I have to forward accrue data. So that's why I haven't deployed anything yet, but I am going to be right after this video, I'm going to be opening a brokerage account and getting an API set up to kind of understand the latency, I guess, or how much of a delay there is from signal to execution and what performance looks like there real time. So that's in the works. I'm super excited for it. I think I showed my kind of crypto trading and also Polymarket and Kalshi trading. Kalshi got banned here in Washington, so that's kind of done. And I also didn't really find much success there, to be completely honest. A lot of times what would happen is, since you're risking a 100%, if you're playing to, I guess, settlement on every trade, you end up in this situation where an edge slowly decays, which is different to trading, where it's not like you're losing 100% of your capital each time you enter a trade, right? You could implement cash out rules and all that, but I think a lot of the time it's not really worth it. And depending on data limitations and API request limitations, it becomes harder. It's a great business, honestly, because you can't really automate much there, but I don't know. I think that a lot of people that are doing really well with that kind of trading are operating off of some insider information or are playing the markets that they're familiar with. I'm not super familiar with the cryptocurrency markets, so that's on me, I guess. And to be completely honest, that's kind of how I feel about my HyperTrader project. So a lot of what I've been working on here, I don't really know if it's even worth pursuing. I mean, there's some strategies that look pretty good on paper. I mean, 11% return in 42 days and 124 trades. Like, this is statistically significant. Is it worth deploying capital? Like, I don't really know. Like this one, for example, Cash Cat is 93% of the trades. If for whatever reason something happens to that coin or the edge isn't there anymore, then this strategy kind of dies. And there's a lot of strategies where I feel like the criteria for how it finds trades and whatnot, I'm just not really a fan of. And the risk doesn't really make the returns worth it, in my opinion. A lot of my penny stock strategies are basically, the minimum is like 10% a trade, especially in pre-market. So high risk, but at the same time, it has a very high win rate. So you come out ahead most of the time. I haven't really thought pursuing this is really worth it at this point. I'm trying to go all in with the penny stock trading and try and figure out if I could fully automate it. And that's where most of my time has been recently. So that's my update. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Leave a like, comment if you have any questions. I will keep you all posted on where things are at. Join my Discord. Feel free to shoot a message too. But super excited for what's coming up in the next few days because I'm going to start deploying capital on those strategies. So yeah, thanks for watching and peace.